It's another beautiful Wednesday as we kick off the summer, and we are here with Matt and Marty and our returning guest, Anna Cook from Cross Country Mortgage. She's the branch manager and always brings us incredible information when it comes to the financing of finding your dream home. So we're going to do that today. Matt and Marty, great to see you both. I see you guys are out hitting the town from different directions today.
Oh, yeah.
Anna, you just returned from a great time in Arizona and back in beautiful Nashville. A little stormy today, but you doing well?
Doing great, enjoying it, and excited about the summer market.
Oh, fantastic. Well, first of all, Matt and Marty, you guys work with so many clients coming in from other parts of the country, first-time buyers, move-up buyers, move-down buyers, all aspects of the home buying process. What are some of the concerns or questions that you guys get right out the gate when they start that process about down payment? Because I'm sure they come to you first and then you're steering them towards the professional. What are some of those things and questions that you hear?
How much cash do I need?
Anna, so what are the common things that you hear when they first call you? Are they in a panic usually of, do I have enough? What does that look like?
Yeah, I think the biggest misconception, even today in 2022, that I hear people say is, I need 20% down to get a home. It's one of those things where even with all the programs that are out there, generationally, my young buyers especially are hearing from their parents or grandparents, you have to have 20% down. A lot of people think they need a lot of money to get into a house. And so they're second guessing when their time is right and how much they're really going to need. It's kind of like what Matt said, like, how much do I really need to buy a house right now? That's a big misconception right now, is that it's 20%.
Wow. And I've heard that as well. I know that, I hear that from my relatives or my parents and that next generation that always says, well, you need 20%, you need 20%. What are the truths? Let's walk this.
Yeah, so this is actually a great topic because it doesn't matter what age group you're in or what phase of home buying you're in. Your down payment really is all about A, how much you want your monthly payment to be, and then, B, how much cash you have on hand. There are all the way from 100% financing options, depending on what type of loan program, or if you're going to do a down payment assistance program, to you can put as much money down as possible. And in that range of 0 to 50, 60, 70% down, there's a lot of ways that we can structure a loan where you don't have private mortgage insurance, or it affects your interest rate a different way. And so the great thing is whether you're a first-time home buyer or third-time home buyer, you could put as little as 3 to 5% down on a conventional, 3.5% on a FHA, or if you're a first-time home buyer, there's some down payment assistance where you really can do 100% financing.
Let's talk about that. Sorry, Marty, you go first.
Well, one thing I was going to say, that I think people get confused about talking about down payment is there are different costs affiliated with getting a home, getting a mortgage. So when they think of down payment, they think I need, if you say you need $10,000, my down payment is $10,000, I need $10,000. And they forget about this little thing called closing costs. A lot of times they don't realize that the closing costs are not rolled into your down payment, that's a separate fee. So that's kind of a misconception that some of, when they don't understand exactly the fee breakdown too. So that's something to keep in mind.
For sure.
Do any of the programs help assist with those fees as well? I know you speak a lot about the down payment assistance programs, and over the years, I've heard people afraid of those, like, "Oh, that's too hard," or "I just have to be a veteran to get that 100% financing," or "It's too much paperwork, it takes too long." I've heard those things over the years, and what are the truths about acquiring some of these programs that can really make a difference?
Yeah, so there's always some sort of state program, typically with a state by state, that's a down payment assistance program, and those do vary. Here in Tennessee, we have a THDA program we have both a conventional and an FHA program, and they actually will have a 6% down payment assistance program. And so what that means is that actually covers full down payment and all closing costs. So other than maybe appraisal and home inspection fees, so we're talking about maybe $1,500, I've seen 3 people this year walk into homeownership using this program.
Wow.
And what I like about this is that they've changed it. It used to be that it was a silent second where you repaid the whole thing back when you sold the home to stay in it longer, but they've changed it where it's a true second. So and it's on a 15-year fix. So that down payment is being paid back. So you're building equity off of both, and you're getting to home ownership really with very little out of pocket, and then gaining a 5% return every year so that you can start building wealth through home ownership. So it's a really great program for our first-time home buyers.
You should be like wearing that on a t-shirt everywhere you go so that people have the awareness right out the gate. Where's the commercials for this?
Well, and I think the thing too is there's a lot of misconceptions that these programs aren't being accepted by sellers, but if they're negotiated well and you educate the sellers well, they're actually being accepted. I have a young lady that I'm meeting with today whose offers got accepted, and she's going to build homeownership here in Nashville with one of these programs. And so there's a lot of misconceptions that down payment assistance program are associated with maybe a type of buyer, a type of home, and that's not the case. It's a really great program that Tennessee offers.
Matt and Marty, how have you guys experienced with these programs and coming in with the financing with that down payment assistance, how that's affected you as the agents helping them find the home?
We used to do a lot of the down payment assistance programs back in the day. In this market, we're not seeing as many of them, but depending on the price points and what you're looking at and where location wise, we've seen a handful of them this year come through, but not as much as we used to. But I do feel like we are going to see more and more of those as time goes on. And I think it is a lack of education, people understanding that they're there and that they're available. And to Anna's point, I think there are sellers that do reference down payment assistance programs to buyers that are maybe not as financially strong as others. And that may not necessarily be the case. It just may be the best fit for them. Their money may be better spent in other areas versus putting it all in the house, depending on what they're buying. I think each situation and each loan is very unique to itself. So I think being an educated seller and being an agent that explains to your sellers and talks to the agents to get to know who these buyers are, to know what's actually going to be the best fit for the seller. Mm-hmm. So I think it's about communication and people understanding and not running through the process so fast that we're seeing a lot of fallout right now in contracts. Not taking our time getting to know who the buyers are and what they're doing and what this looks like. And it's not the buyers that are getting these types of loans. It's buyers that are supposedly having cash or supposedly coming, with the 20% down. Those are the ones that are defaulting before we ever get it closed, because maybe they don't have the cash, or maybe they didn't understand what they were doing, or maybe they committed to something they weren't willing to do and got cold feet. I mean, we're seeing a lot of people squirming right now. So I think just as a seller, look at each deal as it comes in. Have your agent spend time getting to know who the buyer is so that you can make good, educated decisions. And I would not discount anyone getting any type of a loan as long as it is well structured and, they qualify solidly for it. But again, that's connecting with the lender, your agent connecting with the lender and double checking that approval is solid.
That's why I'm glad we're having this conversation, because with the market the way it was the last couple of years, everything has definitely been big in a frenzy and fast, and prices coming in over asking. And so it may have scared off potential buyers from even having hope that they could have this program and still find a property. So my next question for you, Anna, is with that, let's say somebody comes to you, you get them approved in those down payment assistance programs, are they able to do little down? How long is that valid for them to do that house hunting process in case it takes them a while to find that right property and get an offer accepted?
Yeah, so our pre-approvals are good for 120 days. So that allows them some time to shop. And I tell clients, especially if they're in a certain price point, and this regardless of what down payment you're in, I tell them this is a market where you have to stay in it a little bit longer just because there's low inventory. So if they're doing down payment assistance, they know we've got to get going quicker so that we can be looking at more houses, and just being upfront with them that your negotiations are going to have to be clean. One of the things that I'm seeing with my first time home buyers, they have money money. They have enough. If they could just do a 3% down and sellers could pay closing costs and they didn't have to gap appraisals and everything else, they could actually get into a house like circa 2018. But when they go into this market, this down payment assistance program is allowing them to use the cash they have on hand to gap appraisals, to go over list price a little bit, to do some of the things that other buyers are, but still have that down payment assistance to help with the other parts of the cost. And it's getting them into the market. You know, as professionals, our goal is to help people build wealth through real estate. And we got to get our first time home buyers into the market, because here's probably the biggest myth I think a lot of people don't think about with down payments all around the board. It doesn't matter how much you put down to equate with how much you're going to make in a 5-year period. If you put 20% down on a house or you put no money down on a house, your net gain on that market, the marketability of that house in a 5-year period is the same. So you're just putting money in for the initial investment, but it's not going to change how much you make on the house over a 5-year period. So getting these first-time homebuyers in the market and getting a 5 or 6% return and making $125,000 over 5 years, who wouldn't want to get a down payment assistance program to do that? You know,
Yeah,
so
it's a tool. I mean, it's a good tool. And I think that's what people are missing, is that it doesn't mean that buyer doesn't have any money. It's just, it's a tool to let them be able to compete in this market.
yeah, and I think too, the people who are waiting, the people who are thinking they have to wait for 20% down or 15% down, those guys are also going to miss it, because every year you wait to save that much money, the market is increasing.
Right.
And so your down payment isn't making as much, you know? So I love seeing, yeah, I love seeing people put 5% down and getting rid of PMI, or 10% down and getting rid of PMI, instead of waiting for that 20% down option. It's a much better use of their funds.
Sure.
Wow. Is this something that is just available to those there in the Nashville area, or others watching from other states? Do different states have programs that are comparable, allowing individuals to do this?
They do. They're all over. So, you know, Kentucky, Alabama, all over the United States. I'm in a network with our branches nationwide and in my coaching program. And so we all know that we have these down payment assistance programs. And then there are national programs. We have an internal national first-time homebuyer program where you can get 4% down. So maybe you don't income qualify for one, you qualify for this one. And the thing I like about these programs is that they're not area specific. Some of your other programs like USDA, they're area specific, whereas your THEA or your state programs aren't area specific to being in rural or city life. So it's important to know that there are a lot of different options out there for your first-time homebuyers.
There's so much incredible information and so much good news in this, and we really need this good news. We need to put hope back into this market, right? For buyers that had that fatigue of trying to find the right property or knowing when to jump. The time is now. There are programs there, and this conversation clearly proves that it is never a bad time to jump in and have that first home opportunity or your next home. And these programs, if somebody's coming from out of state and moving into the area, what an incredible opportunity to make that happen, right?
Yeah. And it's something to think about too. And I know Marty and Matt know this as well, but first-time home buyer doesn't also mean that you've never owned a home. It just means you haven't owned a home in the last 3 years. So if you decided you owned a home in another state and you moved here to Tennessee and you've been waiting for the market, or maybe you needed to get your job established and you haven't owned in 3 years, you're now considered a first-time home buyer in the lending world. So that opens up different possibilities for you that you maybe didn't have 3 years ago, which is also important to know.
That's an incredible fact. That should be the other t-shirt you're wearing, because that is an incredible fact that I do believe that
Put that on your hat.
Popular, right? It's that's not generally known or talked about. So it opens up so many opportunities for such a bigger group of buyers than those that are just listening to their grandparents or their mom and dad saying, nope, this is how I did it in the 70s and this is how you have to do it today, right?
Right.
This is why I love these conversations. This was a powerful one. You guys, thank you. And I thank you for always coming on and just being top-notch, best education for us in this at this time. And you're always bringing incredible value. So thank you so much.
Thank you. And thank you, Matt and Marty, for everything you guys do. Okay.